Oh, good. All right. I'll go ahead and start. I guess I will attack the elephant in the room early on and with Jamie. And I know Coach already talked about it. But the message is, that guy's a vet. He's a great player in this league. Will still continue to play. But, man, it's time for us to start to look at some of our young guys and allow them a chance to go out there and play. And you will get a chance to see Barnes play. I know you guys all been looking forward to seeing him play. And I think it's time for him to get out and start to play. And also Jalen Reeves-Maven. Both of those guys deserve a chance to play. And for us to be able to move in that direction, these are tough decisions that you have to make. And you don't like them all right, but they're necessary for you to grow as a team. And I think the next thing is the game that we just had. Tough team to play against. It really is. Go along with the coach and with the skill players that they have. I think in the first half, our guys executed the plan, and we had a direct plan of how we want to play. Hated that we gave up 2 touchdowns. I hate giving up touchdowns, but, it is what it is. Second half came out with our same plan, and I would say those guys made some plays. And, that's what this football game is about, guys making plays. And they made a couple more plays than we did, all right? And our young guys seen that on tape. But I will tell you this, when you look at the overall aspect of that game, and I think you guys understand exactly how I operate, I want to pick out the positives. And when you look at our run defense, it was pretty doggone good, all right? So each week, we just looking to get better. And I told you guys that last week. Each week, we're just going to chip away, keep chipping away, all right? It's not always going to be pretty, right, but it's going to be effective on some of the things that we got to chip away at.
Why is it time for the young guys to play? Is that about where Jamie's at? Is it about where the young guys are at, or where you guys are at?
Well, it's more or less where those guys at. It's only so many guys that can play on the field. And to be fair to everybody involved, all right, including those young guys, we draft them for a reason. It's time for him and Reeves to play, all right? It's Barnes is a guy that brings an element of speed, explosiveness, just who he is. And I think I told you guys this before. As a coach, you want to put as many good players on the field as you can, and sometimes you have 2 good players at the same spot, So I think it's just a good idea for us to start using these young guys and start allowing them to play.
That's what it is. You guys facing a dynamic star, Lamar Jackson. Just how can you stop this guy? Is it even possible? Just tell me the game plan.
I wish I knew that. All right, but I tell you what, we sure going to get a hell of a try. I think our guys are excited, and they're excited for every challenge that we get. Each week it's been a challenge for us, and this was no different. So me and the staff, I think we put together a good plan. We're going to attack, man. We're going to do what we do. And I guess last week it showed that we could hold up against the run against a really good running back, and I think we held him like 3.5 or 3 something a carry, and we got to continue that trend. And while we continue that, we got to continue to chip away at some of this other stuff that we got to get better at.
How did you think Bobby came out for the game, having to come in, obviously tough situation there, and play in the fourth quarter? How did you think?
It's always tough for any player to go through practice and not get as many reps as they need to get. That's just the nature of the league. The starter's going to get majority of the reps, and then you try to get some of the backups in. But for Bobby to come in, to understand his responsibilities for special teams, and then be able to operate, understand the game plan, be able to operate the way you want the game plan. And as physical as he was, we put him in some tough situations now. There were some zero coverages that we ran, all right, I was going to get after the quarterback, and Bobby did a really good job of holding up in coverage. But that's who Bobby is. You try to take each person and try to make sure their skill set matches exactly what you want to call, and that's something that Bobby can do.
Darren, I'm just wondering, why didn't Derek see the field against Green Bay, even in a limited role, 5 to 10 snaps?
There's a time and a place for everybody, So the one thing that we don't want to do is just rush a player out there. We want to make sure, and we're going to count on this player for a long time, all right, for this team. So we want to make sure that the timing was right, and right now I think the timing is right for that player.
One week makes that big of a difference in that?
Say it again?
So 1 week makes that big of a difference if it was rushing him last week?
Well, it's been a lot of weeks. We've been training camp. We've been,
Last week would have been rushing him. Why is this week not rushing him?
Because the weeks, the accumulation of weeks that's been going on, and just watch him in practice more than anything. Like today, we just had a walkthrough, and you just see the maturity in the player. Not saying he wasn't mature before, but I would say mentally he wasn't ready for that step, because we need him on special teams too now. And the thing is, we still going to need him there. So you will see a piecemeal between him and Reeves Maben to not take them away from what they do on special teams, but also give him a chance to play on defense. But, man, each week, he's been showing he's getting better and better and ready to play. So now I just feel like it was time for him to get out there and play.
Different players, obviously, but similarly dynamic skill sets. You got Michael Vick's full speed, I think, once in your career when you were in Dallas.
Yeah.
So I'm curious, everything that you teach is an accumulation of what you learned through your career. So is there anything that you took away from that game and maybe that game plan that you can apply here to Lamar?
Well, I will tell you from back then, my thought process is totally different than it is now. Because now I think the big picture. I have 11 guys to really care about. Back then, I would just care about me playing corner, all right, and not let them throw the ball over my head. But now just figuring out a plan to get all 11 guys in the right spot at the right time. Because when you're playing against a guy like this, just like Michael Vick, man, it is assignment sound football. And we have to be very, very disciplined. That's what we've been preaching all week. All right, just being disciplined. I'm talking about gap sound, the rush lanes, and coverage. Because now once you start to move around, the cover guys got to make sure they plaster. So this game is going to be all about discipline. That's something we've been preaching.
I'm curious about the discipline, right?
Yeah.
So they change direction so much. We see Lamar, jitterbug out there. So does it change throughout the play? Is it discipline right away, and then is it?
It's discipline in general. Because if you're not, this team will gas you. You've seen him 50-yard runs, 40-yard runs, and majority of that is because some players think, I gotta go make this play, instead of, just be in your gap. Just be in your gap. And that's just the nature of a lot of players, because it's a playmaking league, right? And guys want to go outside of the scheme to go make plays. And what we have to do is just make sure that, you don't need to go out the scheme, all right? Just be exactly where you need to be, and I promise you we'll be okay.
Just wanted to
say it again.
Do you have a favorite Lamar run that you've seen from his?
I can't say I have a favorite, because I'm about to play against him, so I hate them all. But I tell you what, man, he's a dynamic player. It's hard not to give him his props now, But gosh, it's hard to find him like that, So, and I thought that was a good comparison with Michael Vick. But man, you guys see him.
What's your
Can I,
message to
Aaron,
Barnes this week? Just to turn the opportunity.
Go. I tell you what, man, your question is coming next. I promise you that. But man, go play. And I would there's going to be some mistakes made. Just like the young secondary we got, there's going to be some mistakes made. But to me, that as a coach, you get a chance to coach and nurture and build confidence, with players like that. Listen, we know where we're at. And from the outside looking in, you're going to get a lot of finger pointing, all right? But we know exactly where we're at. And the thing is, man, we're going to continue to improve each week. Right, you guys going to hear me say that every time I stand in front of you, all right, I'm going to have something that we did in that game that's going to be damn good, all right? And we're going to continue to just keep chipping and chipping and chipping. And at the end of the day, you'll see what you're going to get.
All right, thanks, Kurt.
No, wait, no.
be more aggressive next week. I just want to ask about the one.
It better be a good question.
the one touchdown Aaron threw to Tanyan over Alex's shoulder. I don't know how many quarterbacks even attempt that throw, but what's your coaching point there? What's your teaching point to Alex? Because he was where he was supposed to be, it looked like.
I would say this, and every play that's made on you is not a coaching point. And the reason I believe that is because if there's a coaching point after every play, then is the player doing anything good? So I say, hey, Alex, man, that guy made a good play. This is the NFL, And guys, it's about making plays. Now, I expect you to make the play the next time, all right, just like he just made a play, all right? But, man, move on to the next one. Two good players. Man, hell, he had, 12, 13 touchdowns last year, and you're talking about a future Hall of Famer, right, that made a hell of a throw. And, again, you just said it. A lot of quarterbacks wouldn't make that throw, attempt to make that throw, all right, but he did. And he put it in a spot that's hard. All right, especially when the guy's running back and he's throwing in the back of his head. It's hard for him to try to locate that ball. But Alex has confidence, and I'll tell you what, just watching him playing the game. He was around the ball a lot. a lot. Now, he has his share of mistakes too, just like all the other guys, all right? And we're going to continue to coach him on those.
Hey, Gene, can you just explain? Broncos did this a little bit yesterday. You said before, right? You're a split safety coach. You love
Yeah.
outlet in the back. And Dan has talked about the need to bring those safeties up in the run game.
Yeah.
This week. Can you explain that a little bit? Why that's important? Like how they help the run support, what they need to do this week?
Well, it's a couple of different ways that you can look at that. Is it split safety or is it single high safety? All right. So when you're single high safety, usually gapped out, right? Every gap's accounted for. But against this team, all right, there are things that this quarterback can do that's totally different from other guys, all right? And in this running game also, right? Because to me, I think offenses think like this: they want to outnumber you and they want to out leverage you, all right? So most of the guard pulls and tackle pulls, what they're doing is they're bringing numbers to a certain spot. All right, so in single high safety, man, you got to bring guys that way too. That's when you see the linebackers, we might say a pull call, and they're coming across too. Right now, when you're in split safety defense, there's one gap that's unaccounted for, but you also be able to take two safeties and involve them in the run game. So sometimes you can be better than having 8-man spacing with a single high safety, or 9-man spacing with both of these safeties. That makes sense to you? All right, so you're able to have those guys be able to fit, not just in a true gap, but fit on the ball. All right, so that's one of the reasons I like split safety defense also for the run.
You mentioned chipping away every week. We talked to Tom Watch last week. He said there was a little rust on some of the veterans on the interior defensive line. Mostly because like guys like Rivers and Williams didn't play much in training camp. What did you see from their development in week 2, and how close do you think they are to being their kind of their normal selves?
Well, I would say this: the foundation, to me, of defense, the way that I think, first starts with maximum effort. All right, and then the next is your defensive line, and we tried to build our defense right that way. And man, just watching those guys operate, we can win with that D line that we have. All right, so that's another positive that I pointed out. I mean, he continued to do that, continue to build, and continue to knock the rust off. Because you're right. I mean, those guys didn't play a lot in the preseason. All right, but you're starting to see the fruits of what we expect from all those guys, all right? And we still got Levi, who's still maturing and getting better from his injury, all right? So you're going to see some good things out of him. And then after you do that, man, then you start to place everything else around it, all right? Because once you got that foundation in place, man, there's a lot of things you do in the back end as far as coverage and run fits. So I'm excited about that group. They did a hell of a job.
Didn't put the loss on the offense. How do you balance being in line with your head coach and staying with that message, but also holding your group accountable for maybe their role in their loss?
Here's what I talk to the defense. If we score, we have enough points to win. If we score, we have enough. I don't care if it's 3 points or it's 7 points. All right, and that's the mentality I want our defense to have, and they understand that. We just got to make sure that each time we come out, man, we just continue to improve on. And I know it's heavy, all right, but keep letting those points go down because that's the essence of winning football games, right? Don't let them score. So I understand what Dan said, but there's a mentality defensively that we have that, man, we got to get better. And we're in a race, and I know you guys heard him say that we're in a race to improve, and that's a true statement, all right? Because as these weeks go on, all right, you don't realize, man, we're in week 10, you know? So our guys understand that. And just the amount of work these guys are putting in, the mentality they have, the confidence that they have, man, it's a joy to watch. Just like in our walkthrough, it's a joy to watch how they operate because they believe now. And as hard as they play, I mean, you know that they believe. And that's and I appreciate that. I appreciate that from our players and from the coaching staff. You know, so regardless, man, they scored, offense scored 3, we got enough to win.